What really was sort of the last straw, so to speak, that broke the camel's back with Hostess? What really led to the downfall of the company, if you can point to one thing?
Well, I mean, certainly in the immediate sense, the strike by the Bakers Union, it was something that we couldn't overcome financially and couldn't overcome, with our customers. But I can't point to one thing for the demise of Hostess. I've said, even in town hall meetings, that I think that there's plenty of blame to go around. I think the company had more debt than it could service, which limited capital investments over the years, and that certainly hurt the cost structure. The company has had, I think, probably not the best leadership and management over the years, and I think that when you combine that with all of the union issues, whether they relate to crazy work rules that are highly inefficient, whether they relate to multi-employer pension plans and the legacy pension costs and the exposure to those, and the overall cost structure, I think there are a lot of factors involved, and as there typically are in cases like this.
How much of the union factored into the downfall of the company?
Well, the work rules were I think they came about because this company was a roll-up over a number of years and a number of acquisitions, but at the end of the day, we had rules like, a driver could only drive bread and another driver had to drive cake, and one person could put it in the store, somebody else had to take care of that. I mean, a highly inefficient set of work rules.
How frustrating it is. Is it almost like the Bakers Union brought the company down? It was sort of the final straw?
I think that's exactly right.
Did you think when you gave that ultimatum yesterday of 5 p.m., did you think it would come to this, or did you think the Bakers Union would give in at last minute because, they could either go back to work for obviously making concessions, or they'll have no job? Well,
I think you have to differentiate between union leadership at the top and then the people on the lines. Yesterday, was the only thing that I could do to try to provide some kind of catalyst to get people back to work. I certainly was not appealing to union leadership because they haven't returned our calls for months, and they certainly weren't going to change their mind about the strike. What I wanted to do was to try to appeal to the people that were still on the picket lines, and we did have a number of bakers cross the picket lines and come to work, and they trickled in during the week. I was hopeful, but we didn't get enough people crossing those lines yesterday. We had a bunch of people come across. Management has worked 20 hours a day to try to run the plants, but we simply have too many critical plants that aren't producing enough to keep the customers stocked.
So what happens now? What's going to be happening now? I looked at your website. Hostess says we're closed.
We are. We sent workers home from the plants this morning, shortly after we filed the motion with the bankruptcy court. People in the office were boxing their items today, and I've spoke with many of them. And we'll have a hearing in front of Judge Drain on Monday at 2 to get his blessing for the wind down, and the wind down will commence.
What happens to the Twinkies? What happens to Twinkies? Is that it? Twinkies are gone? Is that what's going to happen?
No, our investment bankers will try to sell our brands and trademarks, and we'll try to, in a liquidation, you try to sell everything you've got for whatever you can get. So we'll certainly try to market the individual brands and see if we can find homes for them.